Someone who is direct and positive and will score goals is the claim of Forest's newest signing, Anthong Elanga. Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are, whatever time of day you're watching this. Hope you're having a good day, and welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest transfer news. But before we can get into that, there has been yet some more tragic news as another ex-Forest player has tragically passed away yesterday, and that was Chris Bart-Williams. Chris Bart-Williams, at the tender age of 49, who played for over 200 appearances for Nottingham Forest, scoring 30 goals, and a great man on and off the pitch, was sadly passed away yesterday, along with Trevor Francis. It's been a very black day for Nottingham Forest and for Sheffield Wednesday as well, as both players mean so much to those two famous clubs. We, of course, here at FFTV pass on our condolences and love to both Chris Bart-Williams' family and again to Trevor Francis's family. And I'm sure you guys will join us in sharing that sentiment. Okay, with that said, and honestly, it's still hard to come to terms with that. 2 players in a day is absolutely tragic. Let's move on and talk about the latest Nottingham Forest news. And Anthong Elanga today was unveiled as the new Nottingham Forest player and had quite a few interesting things to say. And from what he said, he's the kind of guy that's actually grown on me already. I'm still a bit skeptical of how he's going to fit in, how what formation is Cooper going to play with maybe him in mind, Jono, MG Dub, Taiwo, etc. And how will he fit into our counter-attacking style or low block style, whichever way you want to call it. We've done a full video on the FFTV High Press, which actually talks you through why counter-attacking football is becoming more and more fashionable, and the transition football that gets quicker is getting more and more prevalent in the Premier League. So if you want to check that out, make sure at the end of the video you click on the end screen. But I want to take you through a few things that Elanga said, and there's a few things that stuck out to me and does excite me. Firstly, he speaks very well. He's very composed, very articulated in the words he chooses. And it was good to see a couple of things there. Now, of course, as every new Forest signing does, they have to tick the box of talking about the history, which he did. Fair play to you, Elanga. You've done your research, so well done. But it's the quote that I opened the video with that does kind of excite me, to be honest. And when you do think about it, it is his traits and it is the way he plays football. He said, when asked, what can the fans expect from you this season? And I'll just read out his quote. This season, they can expect to see someone who's direct, positive, and someone who will get them goals. I want to light up the fans and get them off their feet. And that's something we only really saw last season with a handful of players, the likes of MGW, Jono, and towards the end of the season, Danilo. I know you can chuck a few more in, but, you know, that's the main list. And this is why I think he's probably going to bring some good balance to the team, because as I've complained about pretty much solidly all year, is Forest were too right side dependent. And if Elanga is going to come in and play as that inverted left winger, cutting in on his right foot from the left hand side, we could see a more balanced attack with Nottingham Forest. And with Steve Cooper going on about how last season isn't the style of football he wanted to play, maybe bringing in Elanga, who has pace to burn, a good physique, and a good dribbler on the ball, can actually push us towards that next step in our development in the Premier League. So overall, the other things he was saying were really good. He talked about how he likes Steve Cooper's philosophy. He says, I feel like his philosophy will really flourish this season, and I'm ready to be part of the team. Again, is that another hint to the style of football changing this year? Positive news potentially on that. He says, I've been here with United when talking about the atmosphere. It's a special place, as in the City Ground. But being here with Forest, I feel like it'll be even more special. And I think he's right with that. Something we are very good at, no matter who the player is that's coming in, is welcoming them into Nottingham Forest. And that does help to settle players down. If they have the fans behind them, if they have, the match day crowd behind them, it's almost like another motivation for them to play better and to put more effort in. Now, I'm not saying players don't put effort in, but I think you get what I mean by that sentiment. So overall, I think he sees this as an opportunity. He says how excited he was to join Forest, how this was the right time in his career for the move, how proud his family is. And when you weigh that all up, you see a player who's probably been frustrated at Manchester United, a player who broke through a couple of years ago and then stalled and maybe didn't get the opportunities under Ten Hag that he was expecting to have. And therefore, he's going to see this as an opportunity to maybe be a regular starter in the first team. A player who, if he can prove himself at the Premier League level, that is going to be really important for him. In fact, that's something he said in his interview. He said he doesn't want to just prove himself to Nottingham Forest. He's looking to make a point to the Premier League as well. So what I do like is his motivation. And I think he is young and he is hungry. And this is the big difference between him and Lingard, the signing obviously we did roughly this time last year, where Lingard was coming in on a bit of a hype train, but towards the back end of his career and didn't produce anything on the pitch. And Lingard's only real motivation for coming to Nottingham Forest, some would argue money, but my argument would be to try and get into that England World Cup squad that went to Qatar last year. Once he didn't get that, you basically saw Lingard, down tools on that. Whereas with Elanga, who is at the start of his career, already getting international caps for Sweden, the motivation for him now is to establish himself at a Premier League level with a Premier League team. And I like his work ethic and I like his philosophies and I like how he talks. So for me, this one is growing on me. The more I hear of him, the more I like him. I just want to make sure that he develops on the pitch as well. His finishing is not the best. It definitely will improve. It can get better. His dribbling is already very good. But will he fit into Cooper's system? That's the real question. And will we see a change in that? That's the one I really want to know about. But what do you guys think? How are you feeling about Elanga after he's been revealed now? Get your thoughts in down below. As one attacking player comes in, another has confirmed he is leaving, and that is Sam Surridge. As we brought to you a week or so ago, a deal was agreed to move him on to the MLS at Nashville. And Surridge has come out today on his social media and given us a goodbye message. And it's a nice message, so I think I'll just read it out to you guys and then we can discuss it. Sam says, I want to thank everyone associated with Nottingham Forest. Since I arrived here, I have felt nothing but serious pride in myself to play for this massive club. To be part of its history on getting promoted back into the Premier League and to retain its status is something I could have only imagined when joining 2 seasons ago. I'd like to give a special mention to the supporters for showing me nothing but love throughout my time. Now it's time to move on and write a new chapter for myself. I want nothing but success for this team and its supporters in the future. Thank you, Sam. Tree heart emoji. I think that's a very nice, touching message. Look, you can think what you want about Sam Surridge. Was he good enough for the Premier League? Was he not good enough? Is he a championship level player? But either way, you can't deny that his effort and his application towards Nottingham Forest was absolutely fantastic throughout his time here. You never heard of any disgruntlement either. That's something that he really needs credit for. Even though a lot of the fan base felt that he should be getting game time, you never really saw Sam Surridge come out or give, little hints or indicators about how he's not happy, how he'd like to get into the team. He also had opportunities during previous transfer windows to be moved on, either for loan or permanent moves into the Championship, for example, in January just gone. But he did want to stay and fight for his place in the team. Now, he wasn't obviously successful at that, but you've got to admire the application and the desire to try and make it as a Premier League player. So overall, for me, Sam will be remembered for those great goals he brought to us in the Championship. He should have had another one. I remember that Bournemouth game where that paid-off linesman flagged offside when he was on and he should have been given a penalty. But that's all by and by. History doesn't matter now, as we've ended up, well, that history didn't matter because we ended up promoted anyway. Of course, his goals against Swansea, fantastic hat trick, one of the best games we had that season, and he was absolutely on fire. But he just couldn't cut it at Premier League level. And I guess the real question is, could he not cut it because he wasn't good enough? Or could he not cut it because he wasn't given the opportunity to do so? That, for me, is the question I'd love you guys to answer. Having said that, he did score in the Premier League, getting that late equaliser away to Bournemouth, his ex-club as well. And I wish him nothing but success going forward to the MLS. I still do find it a surprising move from himself to go there, as I think he could have a good career and a good season had he gone to a championship club at the higher level or the higher end of it. I think he would have fitted right in, maybe like a Leeds or something like that. You could have seen him, banging in quite a few next season. But it is his choice, it is his life, it is what he wants to do, and he has chosen to go to the MLS. And in regards to Forest, this deal has been absolutely fantastic. Forest bought him for just over 2 million and get to sell him for just over 5. That's great business and good for our FFP, as the profit on that is basically doubling itself. And it does ask the question of, with Sam Surridge going, it depletes the numbers of attackers we do have as backup. And with Hwang in there now, is Cooper looking at Hwang as a backup to Owoni? Or will we see another striker coming into Nottingham Forest? My personal opinion on this is we need to strengthen up front. We can't rely on Owoni for the goals by himself and also to remain fit the whole season. So I would like to see Forest buying in a player who potentially can challenge Owoni, if not better. I always think with recruitment, you need to recruit above what you've got, unless obviously you're missing some key positions. But for me, I expect to see some movement in the striker department. With the Iheanacho link still there for Nottingham Forest, but gone very, very quiet after rumours of the fee being agreed at 8 million. Maybe we will see that rekindled over the next few days. Or maybe some of these other 6 or 7 strikers that have been linked will now start to get across the line. I still think a lot of this is dependent on the Dean Henderson deal. And excuse me. And the Dean Henderson deal is still being discussed with Manchester United. I think everyone still expects that to happen. But how much will Forest have to commit to that part may dictate how much they can spend elsewhere on the pitch. So those breaking stories will hopefully be round the corner. But I do expect to see the pace of this transfer window pick up slightly over the next few days and weeks, as we are only a couple of weeks from that big game to Arsenal away. And it's going to be here sooner than you think. So guys, get your thoughts in on Sam Surridge. I want to know, was he good enough for the Premier League? Or do you think this is the right move for him? And how do you feel about the deal? Did Forest make good money on him? Or do you think there was a few more million that we could have squeezed out of that deal? Get your thoughts in down below. One of the players linked to Nottingham Forest, El Bilal Toure, is not going to happen, as it looks like it is all but done between him and Atlanta. That's the name we can cross over the old list, and let's hope Forest brings someone else in. But outside of that, it's been quite quiet from Nottingham Forest, clearly as the tragedies that have happened, and also the getting the ink on the paper for the likes of Elanga and for Arnaut as well. So let's see what happens over the next coming days. As always, we will keep you posted here on Forest Fan TV. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like the video. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And go have a look at our counter-attacking video on FFTV High Press and see what you think. And will counter-attacking football be the one that prevails in this coming season in the Premier League? And come on, you Reds.